Yo, what up, YouTube? So this morning, I did a live interview on Facebook with a good buddy of mine. His name's Justin Booth. You can go check out my Facebook page if you want to watch it. But during this interview, we were discussing, basically we were talking about the most effective ways to wake our friends and family up. Most effective ways to red pill, how to go about doing that. And the conversation was so good that I wanted to reiterate many of those points right here on YouTube for you guys. So I'm going to give you 3 tips for red pilling your friends, your family, any random stranger on the street, and then we'll open it up for some discussion, some roundtable Q&A afterwards. So, number 1, come down to their level. Let's be real. When you want to wake somebody up, when you want to red pill them, normally your ideas, what's going on in your head is going to be at this level way up here. And they're just going to not have that perspective you do. In fact, they're probably going to have the opposite perspective many times. So you've got to simplify things greatly. Not only that, but sometimes you kind of have an uphill battle because, like I said, you have to help them unlearn and relearn these concepts at the very same time, especially if they're concepts that are so deep, so out there, UFOs, various health topics, etc., etc. I mean, anything regarding the deep state, really. Things that are so far out there that you have to make them so simple. And in fact, you might even want to practice your talking points. Like if you're so excited, if you're so anxious to get into a conversation with somebody and try to help them wake up, see certain things, you know, practice. Literally, practice your talking points. Talk to yourself. I do it all the time. I'd be talking to myself in the shower, in the car, wherever the heck. Even practice on a video. You know, when I started my YouTube channel, shit, it still takes me. Like, it might take me 5 to 10 tries just to get something right, or I'll just rant into a camera just to practice, literally hone your skills. So you hone your talking points, you just get a few of them. Mind you, if you're trying to red pill somebody, you're not going to have more than a minute or two to get your points out there. So make them really simple, make them effective, and come down to their level, okay? But here's the point, is that if they don't want to get it, if they get cognitive dissonance and want to run away or something like that, don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad, okay? It is not your responsibility to wake somebody else up. They're going to be on their path, wherever their path might be at that point in time, but understand, don't be frustrated. Don't feel bad. Don't underestimate the power of planting a seed, mind you, right? Maybe you're not going to be able to get your talking points, your specific information across to them because maybe their level is just so far down here that you literally can't come down to them, right? But never underestimate the power of planting that tiny little seed in their subconscious and letting that grow. And also understand the power of repetition, okay? Maybe there's some huge concept you want them to get, and maybe you see this person all the time or something like that, but you can't bring that massive idea to them quite yet. Bring little bits and pieces and use repetition. Understand, the fake news media has used repetition for so long to hammer home the false propaganda in our heads. We have to use those same tactics to try to help wake our friends and family up. Look at how they control our minds, and let's use those tactics to uncontrol our friends and family, our community's minds, right? So repetition, get that. Right? I just had somebody this morning comment on my Twitter, you say the same things over and over again. Well, A, it's Twitter. There's only so much you can say in 280 characters, and things I talk about are so deep, I'm not going to be able to do that on Twitter. And B, Twitter is for that repetition. Yeah, I'm going to say the same shit over and over and over again on Twitter to really hound it home into people's heads. Okay? So, point here being is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. But I always like to add a little extra piece on the end of that. And this leads me into tip number 2. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it, although you can sell the water to that horse. Now, I don't mean that you're selling your information to who you're trying to wake up. What I mean is that you're trying to market your ideas. You're trying to make them sexy. You're trying to make them applicable for that individual. You have to use sales principles to get your idea across. And by that, I mean you've got to get to know the individual. You've got to ask them questions, figure them out. You've got to understand where they come from, who they are, what their favorite topics might be. You've got to figure them out so you know maybe what topic to approach best with them, or to how approach the topic with them, right? So you're selling, you're marketing these ideas to them. You're basically making the horse realize that it's really freaking thirsty and then it wants to drink that water, okay? Half the people out there, not half, 99.9% of the people out there don't realize they're thirsty, right? You have to make them realize they're thirsty. You have to say, hey, you're not looking at this, but yeah, it's out there, right? So get to know your customer, see what they might be receptive to, and question. Question, question, question. This is always, this is the most fascinating thing about Q, the most impactful thing, let's say, is because of the questions. It makes them think. It makes them connect the dots in their own heads, right? So when you get into, especially when you get into the heated parts of the conversation, because I understand that it can get heated, and especially if you're trying to red pill somebody, your friends and family, it can be a very nerve-wracking situation, right? So always step back and just answer a question. It's a very easy thing to do if maybe your mind is boggled and you're trying to deal with some cognitive dissonance or some really shitty opinion that was thrown your way. Just question them, right? It allows you to take a breath, get your thoughts back in order, and offer something that's going to make them think and help you get your point across. So that's the beauty of questions. Number three is that what you have to do, like I was just mentioning, these situations can get very heated very fast. So what you need to do is not only keep yourself very grounded, very centered, don't let it delve into emotional responses, because that often can just revel into, he said, she said bullshit and all kinds of ad hominem, just petty attacks, childish attacks. But what you also need to do is create the space for them to open up. And by doing that, you have to be grounded, A, to do that. And B, you have to understand that these people that, stuck in fantasy land, that ridicule conspiracy theorists, et cetera, people that just, are not awake, they're not aware. The majority of these people are very curious. They're very curious. They want to wake up. For example, like these maps behind me, right? I'm going to do a video on these maps ASAP eventually when I get to it. But this particular Q map right here, there's a shirt that this map is on. I have one of them. You might have seen it if you follow me on Instagram or wherever I've posted it. But basically, it's a shirt with this on it. So it's a shirt with all sorts of tiny little words written all over it. It's a pretty ballsy shirt to wear out in public, let me tell you. But if you, so for example, I went out in public with that shirt on. The very first time that I went out in public with that shirt on, I was at the grocery store buying something. I was in line checking out, and this guy behind me said, "Hey, I like your shirt." Like, oh, thanks, man. Like, I was not expecting that at all. I don't know what word he saw. It might have been like New World Order, Bohemian Grove, or something on the arm right here. But I was so surprised. He was like, "I like that shirt, man." I'm like, thanks. And then he started seeing how all the other things connect. And he saw like Nazis, and that might have been the one he saw, and he saw some other things. So people want to wake up. They're just literally scared to. They're scared to wake up because they're scared about what they might find. They're scared about coming to the realization that everything they've been told is a lie, right? So they have all this fear, all this scare to wake up, but they don't. And that fear comes out in sadness, oftentimes in anger, in ridicule and laughter. So you have to stay grounded and create that space, that comfortable, warm environment for them to want to open up to you with, okay? The more violent we are, the more aggressive we are with trying to red pill folks, that's completely the opposite of what we want to do. We want to create unity here. We don't want to create division. And to create that unity across the spectrum with those awake and those not awake, we have to do it in just a kind manner, right? A compassionate manner. The less compassionate we are, it's just not going to happen. So you don't get violent, you don't get aggressive, you keep yourself grounded and calm and create that space, that warm environment to say, hey, you can open up to me. And also on that same point, create a positive spin on whatever you're trying to convey, whatever message you're bringing across. I see people all the time, they go as hard as they can with trying to wake somebody up, and they get into some deep, dark shit, but they revel in that. They revel in how deep and dark it is, and they don't put any positive spin on it. For instance, human trafficking. Yeah, deep, dark stuff. But get the point across that it's actually a great thing to talk about human trafficking because that's what gets rid of it. You're not going to scatter the cockroaches in the corner unless you shine a light on those cockroaches, right? So get them to understand that. Get them to understand, hey, yeah, like a lot of these holistic doctors are being mysteriously murdered, et cetera, et cetera. Wow, that's scary. But let's look at what these holistic doctors were looking at. They were looking at cancer cures, many of them. Oh my gosh, you can cure degenerative disease like that? And then that's the positive spin. You see, this awakening is not meant to be negative. Even the, quote, negative or bad subjects, you got to understand, good and bad is just perspective. Even these bad subjects are actually good to talk about. It's all about how you're talking about it. How are you transmuting that issue, right? So put a positive spin on it and create a warm environment for them to open up with. That's one thing I try to do as much as I can with the videos on this YouTube channel is look at everything in as positive as a way as I can. Even if it sucks. Oh my God, they're making fun of us. They're ridiculing us on Comedy Central. Oh my God, look at these articles in the Washington Post. They're calling us names. Great, call us names. Positive spin. You only take flack when you're over the target, right? Again, anything can be turned into a positive. Something that's good if it seems bad. So that's pretty much all I had on those thoughts that I just wrote down on my handy dandy notebook. Y'all got some questions for me? Try to stay on topic, but I can take some off topic. I know somebody did ask me about my a documentary coming out that I helped co-produce called Above Majestic. When is that coming out? It's going to come out in October. Should be out in October. So that's going to be a big documentary. And then I'll actually also be working on another one that I'll be announcing very soon. So there's 2 documentaries I have coming out. One is pretty much done and finished. Just the final touches need to be put on it, and we'll throw that out. And then mine. Let's see here. Yeah, there seem to be a lot of trolls in these comments section. When you're talking about red pilling, I guess they come out of the woodworks. Somebody said when someone shows interest, positive or negative, I think asking the right questions can help. Yes, continue asking questions. You know, maybe you are talking about this one subject, vaccines, for instance. Maybe you're talking about vaccines, but they happen to be a parent who is very tied into that fear-based programming around vaccines. So you're not going to get them with that subject. But maybe they went to like business or economics class in college, and there was some serious head scratching they did in that class. So you ask them questions about health, they don't vibe with it, but then you're like, oh yeah, financial system, kind of bullshit, look at the debt, what are these freaking Federal Reserve notes for, like gold-backed currency, etc., etc., and then they start, questioning, right? There you go. Then you can start, you're cracking their ego there, and you can start filling that crack, right? So, you know, I hear a lot of people out there, they say, you're not going to be able to wake up 100% of the people. There's a small percentage out there, maybe 5 to 10% that you're never going to wake up. You can't get to them. They're lost cases. And I don't believe that. I do not believe that nobody can be saved, for lack of a better term, can be woken up, right? I personally believe that every single person out there has the potential to fully realize, self-actualize their potential, fully wake up their consciousness. And it all just depends on how we market this truth. Because let's be real, we've done a very shitty job for a long time in marketing these ideas. And I mean, yes, it's our fault, but it's kind of not our fault. We've been so ridiculed and so traumatized and so degraded as free thinkers, as conspiracy theorists, that I mean, we're pretty mad. Yeah, that's why it's so easy to get heated in these conversations, because we're just so pissed off. We just want people to get it, right? But again, understand, that's not helpful. And I think many of us need to actually work on healing ourselves before we ever go out in the public and try to wake others up, try red pilling others. We need to heal our own traumas first. So when we get into those situations, we can stay grounded, we can stay relaxed, and we can create that space for them to open up. So that's another thought I have on that. Next question. Attitude. Somebody just mentioned that. Exactly. Attitude makes everything. How many coaches and teachers and, people, mentors in your life have told you that gotta have a good attitude, little Jimmy, or else you ain't gonna go nowhere. Exactly. What about comprehensive places for info to reference resources? Boom. You know what? That should have been number 4 right there. That is something very effective to do, to compile for yourself when trying to red pill people. One person I follow on Facebook, his name's Jason Christoff. Shout out to Jason. He rants on Facebook a lot about the deep state and health topics. I follow him for that. One thing that I saw him do one time, he talks about vaccines a lot, and vaccines is a very touchy topic. One thing he did was literally find every single documentary he could or good long video from a doctor discussing the truth about vaccines, and he put that in a list. It was literally a list of like 40 different doctors and interviews with them, and then at the end there was like 20 documentaries. And I would see him copy and paste this list all the time. What that made me do is that made me create a list like that for a bunch of different topics. I did one for free energy. I did one for like Pizzagate, for instance, once. And it would be something I could easily just copy and paste. I had it on a note in my phone, notes on my computer, just bam, copy, paste, there you go. There's references, right? That's one thing I see a lot of people do, is they just offer information out there, whether the information is true or not. It can be very legitimate information, but they don't source it. And that doesn't help the argument. Again, market your ideas. If you're trying to sell somebody to something and you make a fact up, they might say, huh, where'd you get that? Well, if you don't have your sourcing there, you're just floating dead in the water. So have your sources ready. One thing I'm working on that I hope to be up on my new website launching soon is brochures. I want to create infographic brochures. Really cheap, simple brochures, really small. You might be able to fit in your pocket or something like that. I want to have like stacks of them, one for each topic. One on vaccines, one on holistic health, cancer cures, one on freaking Pizzagate and Q and the secret space program and free energy and just geoengineering, chemtrails all across the board, right? So you can buy, I'm saying right a lot, it's because I'm so right. So you can buy a stack of these freaking brochures, have it with you, and then just hand them out. Just freaking, at the strip club. Wake up the strippers. Wherever you're at, sidewalk, So these brochures, it'd be very easy for you to pull out and reference. So that's just an idea I have. There's many other ways, again, you can go about getting your sources handy. Copy and pasting from your phone, having bookmark tabs on your computer, whatever the case is. There's many ways, you guys, there's many ways to make this an effective, efficient process. What I'm trying to do in this video is help you gather ideas for that, okay? So that's about that. I think that's, oh hey, Mod shows up. What up, Mod? I'm gonna have to get some more mods for these live streams. It's been a minute since I've done them on this channel, so I think more trolls, more paid assets sitting in a CIA dungeon have subscribed to my channel and are trolling on it. But so that's it for this one, guys. I'll be back. I'll be back soon. Done.